We are going to turn our program over to be able to present two incredible people with some awards. For our first award, the Jerry Sampson Memorial Award, please help me welcome the Speaker of the Assembly, Robert Rivas.
I don't think I'll have a Scott Wiener problem. I don't have to hold the mic up. But it is wonderful to be here. It's wonderful to see so many people here. JPAC always has such a wonderful advocacy turnout and day, which is much appreciated by me because it's great to see so many of my colleagues here. I'm not Jewish, and when I got to the legislature, I knew very little of the Jewish culture, and people, and certainly the time I had as part of the legislative delegation to Israel was certainly a formative experience for me, and I know for my colleagues that were on that trip, because it opened our eyes and revealed a deeper understanding of the Jewish people and of Israel, and certainly of the region and the issues that impact Jews not only in the Middle East but all over the world. But it's a privilege to share this room with all of you this evening. And I'm so thankful to have this opportunity to introduce and to help honor an esteemed leader in our California State Legislature, but more importantly, a very, very close friend. Although Mr. Jesse Gabriel won a special election and got a little head start serving in the California State Assembly, he and we are considered to be part of the same 2018 legislative class. And I realized very quickly that I wanted to work with and collaborate with Jesse. He is the type of colleague who seeks understanding and seeks understanding in a genuine and a very authentic way. But most importantly, he is unafraid. Jesse is a truth teller, and he never hesitates to tackle the most challenging issues head on. Whether we could talk about housing, we could talk about gun safety, to now working to ban flaming hot Cheetos in our public schools. But I could tell you, in all seriousness, before my time in the legislature, I worked in school discipline, and banning flaming hot Cheetos is not one fight I don't wish on anybody. But Jesse is also, without question, a quintessential ambassador for the Jewish community. In all my time working with him, Jesse has always been consistently thoughtful and proactive by reaching out to other communities and members and faith groups, and has worked to build those much-needed bridges. I've said it many times, the diversity here in California, that's our collective heritage as Californians. It built the state, and it is our greatest strength today, and it is the foundation of our future here in California. And let's be honest, America has always envied California. We are the greatest state. And it's all of the astonishing things that are only possible here. Because being a Californian is fundamentally about a shared identity of ambition and of inclusion. We are a state of transplants or of immigrants. And it's no surprise that our California State Legislature is the most diverse legislative body anywhere in the world. And just take Jesse and myself, for instance. We're two different people. We come from very different family backgrounds and life experiences. And one experience that I wanted to highlight was early in our time serving together in the Assembly. It was an experience that I'll never forget. It was actually the first time that we worked together. And it was the work we did to help broker an agreement regarding California's ethnic studies curriculum. At the time, I think Jesse was chair, or at least very active with the Jewish Caucus. I happened to be vice chair of the California Latino Legislative Caucus. And as lawmakers were grappling with a proposed statewide ethnic studies curriculum bill, it was a proposal that had failed many times prior to us being in service in the legislature. But what brought Jesse and I together on this issue was a mutual belief. It was a belief that it was essential that our students be afforded every opportunity to learn about the history, about the accomplishments and the contributions of the diverse communities and leaders that call California home. A mutual belief that learning about diverse populations increases our empathy as people and helps to foster a more equal and just community. And I remember Jesse being deeply committed. I remember meeting very late at night in the last days and hours of session with Scott Wiener and Ben Allen. I remember their commitment to ensuring that any statewide model curriculum, that it include the Jewish experience. Jesse asked for my help. That's how we came together. And we went to work. We brought people and colleagues together to get it done. And it was not easy. But it was truly Jesse's leadership, his drive, that lit a fire under everyone to not just get an agreement done, but to get it done right, inclusive, so everyone was at the table. A few months ago, I appointed Jesse as chair of our Assembly Budget Committee, and subsequently, since I made him budget chair, we now, as a state, face the largest budget deficit in the history of our state. But appointing Jesse to the Budget Committee, certainly was a very easy decision. As I'm sure you're all aware, all eyes are on the budget at this moment here in our state. And in the face of extraordinary pressure, Jesse has been methodical, and he's been incredibly thoughtful in his approach. It's not easy in a Democratic caucus of 62 members. He has overseen a transparent and deliberative budget process. And even though it's our first budget together, he has operated like a seasoned pro, working around the clock to ensure our state budget that it delivers for hardworking Californians. And I know these are challenging times, as many of my colleagues mentioned. But as I've mentioned, Jesse, he continues to always be there for his colleagues, always. Just last week, we were in my office, and we spent a good amount of time discussing the situation on college campuses, both here in California and across the country. And I share Jesse's commitment to keeping our students safe, and in particular, our Jewish students. There is, as I mentioned, in California, a state of immigrants, a state known and built by our diversity, there is no place for hate. There is no place for anti-Semitism or Islamophobia or bigotry in our schools and our classrooms anywhere. And as speaker, I am lockstep with Jesse Gabriel, with my colleagues that were on this stage with our Jewish Caucus in the fight against intolerance. And tonight, Jesse is being honored with the Jerry Sampson Memorial Award for Legislator of the Year. And like Mr. Sampson, Jesse is an influential mentor and colleague and a champion of equity, of justice, and of belonging. He is a leading voice for Jewish advocacy, and he is forging a hard-fought unity and a togetherness during a time of far too much divisiveness. It's a privilege to present this award to Jesse this evening, to a close and trusted colleague, to one of our most skillful and compassionate leaders and public servants, and to certainly one of my closest friends, and that's our budget chair and assembly member, Jesse Gabriel.
Thank you very much. Let's give one more round of applause for our amazing speaker, Robert Rivas. Let me just do a few quick thank yous, and then we can move on. I first just want to thank the speaker who, in addition to being a phenomenal leader and one of the most important leaders in the state of California, has been an incredible friend and ally to our community. And I cannot emphasize enough how much the speaker has leaned in, how much he has been there for us. And I will always be grateful for your support and your solidarity. You have been an amazing ally to our community. Thank you. And I'm really grateful for your personal friendship as well. It was one of the highlights and honors of my lifetime to be able to take the speaker and Assemblywoman Rivas and Assemblymember Bryant to Israel, to be there, to be with someone whose life experiences are so different than mine. The speaker makes you believe in the California dream. This is someone who grew up in farm worker housing, who shared a room with his mom and his brother until he was 12 years old, and has now ascended at a very young age to be one of the most important people in state government. And that is exactly the kind of California dream that we want to build. Super honored for this award, super grateful in all truth, and as you all have seen, this is really a collective recognition for the work of the Jewish Caucus. I am so lucky for the incredible leadership of Scott, for the incredible solidarity of the Jewish Caucus. I always like to say that life is a team sport, politics is certainly the team sport, and I'm privileged to be on such an amazing team. So thank you to all the members of the Jewish Caucus. I also want to acknowledge, I know that my friend and neighbor Shelley Rivlin is going to get an award, and that Nancy Volpert is going to get an award tomorrow. And so Shelley and I both live in Sino. Nancy is in Sherman Oaks, so the San Fernando Valley is representing today. So congratulations, Shelley. And finally, and most importantly, because I want to reinforce stereotypes about nice Jewish boys, I want to thank my mom who's here. Most of the reason that I do the work that I do, both in the Jewish Caucus and outside of it, is because of my mom. She's an amazing woman, was a nurse, and when I was 4 months old, took me to Israel. She worked as a nurse in Israel. She worked as a nurse here in California, went on to have a career in public health, to work on issues like gun violence and do amazing work. And when I enter this work, I feel compelled to stand up and to lean in for our Jewish values, to be proud of being Jewish. And that's something that my mom taught me. And I also feel a calling to stand up for other vulnerable communities, for other people who need help. And that's something my mom taught me as well. So thanks, Mom. I love you. And finally, let me just say one thing. I know that this has been a profoundly challenging moment for a lot of folks in our community. And really, since October 7th, we have felt like the ground is shifting underneath us. And things that we thought were behind us are ahead of us. And I know that it's been difficult on a lot of levels as a community, but also as individuals, and I will confess that I've had a lot of sleepless nights since October 7th, and a lot of challenges, and I look at my kids, my 3 beautiful boys, and I wonder what kind of world they're going to grow up in, and what is going to be for our Jewish community. But I also have to say that I am filled with enormous gratitude and an enormous sense that we are going to be okay, because what I have gotten to observe in this role is that for all of the challenges, people in our community are leaning in like never before. And what we know from 4,000 years of Jewish history is that we are up to this challenge, and we are up to that. We will meet this moment that when things have gotten tough and we have seen our fair share of challenges before, people have stood up and said hineni, they have leaned in, they have supported each other. And the fact that I'm looking out of a room at 500 people who in a complicated moment have said, I want to come to Sacramento, I want to be a voice for our community, I want to be a part of the solution, that fills me with intense, intense hope and gratitude. So thank you to all of you, and thank you for the work you're doing.